Hello and welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, tarot reader, and professional witch, and today I'm taking you through an introduction to color magic. Whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening daily, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. If you love the podcast and want to support it further, there are a variety of things you can do. You can join the Everyday Tarot Patreon family, where benefits include getting an individual card pulled for you once a month live on the podcast, or if you'd like to support the podcast even further, you can get a one-time individual 5-card reading in addition to all the other benefits if you join the Witch Bitch level on the Patreon. I recently recorded an hour-long video episode for the new moon that we welcomed in on October 21st, 2025. If you missed the live, you can check that out at the New Moon Collective Tarot Reading replay. I post these on my YouTube channel, Camille A. Saunders, and I try to post them as reels onto Instagram. I think for the last one, I couldn't get it to work correctly, but I do my best to do that. And they are video episodes, again, usually an hour long, and I'll have it linked in the show notes if you want to check that out. As a bonus for the Queer Joy Summit that wrapped up in October, I created a Queer Coven Spooky Tarot spread. I wanted to give you all a chance to grab it even if you weren't a part of the summit. So if you're still in spooky season vibes, which I certainly am until probably winter solstice or maybe the full moon in December, it's Halloween and queer themed 6-card spread, so you can grab that in the show notes. I was recently on Kayla Moore's Connected Pleasure podcast, which I've been really enjoying listening to. You can check out my episode of the podcast where we talked all about living by the body, dreaming of land, and weaving the future. I'll also link to Kayla's offer page in the show notes. Kayla is a sex therapist and witch, and they can be found at connectedpleasurecoaching.com. I also had the opportunity to have them on my podcast, and I am looking for more guests to be on the podcast. So I'm trying to pull together a whole guests season. Probably that will be the last season of 2025. So if you're interested and know someone that might be a good fit, so if you want to be on it, or you know someone that you would love to hear talk about their relationship with tarot and other things, you can fill out my form to be a guest on the podcast, or you can always email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com, if you want to pass on someone's contact info or their name, and I will do my best to reach out to them. If you want to work with me more directly and perhaps you don't live local to me, I am kicking off my Tarot for Transformation monthly workshops starting January 2026, where we'll be deep diving into the major arcana to discover our best selves and create a life worth living. I'm going to be doing 1 card a month, so 1 per workshop, and actually it will fit, we'll be talking about color magic as we get into the different cards, how they're represented, how the archetypes are sort of embodied, how would you embody them, and all different kinds of things, how they get depicted across different decks. As part of Tarot for Transformation, we'll be deep diving the first 12 of the major arcana cards in 2026, and if people are into it and I still enjoy doing it, probably into 2027, so I can get to all of the cards, since there are 22 cards. They're numbered 0 through 21, but there's 22. And if you're interested, the link for that to sign up just to get more info is in the show notes. I will be sending out more information over the next month, and then I'll start getting signups probably in December. I'll have the actual link, and you'll be able to sign up for all the workshops if you're into it for all of 2026 and you really want to deep dive into all of the first 12 major arcana cards with me. We'll probably be doing 2 to 3 hour workshops once a month. They'll be recorded if you're unable to attend live, but if you're not totally sure or just not sure about your schedule, if you're ready to commit yet, you'll be able to sign up for one-off events as well. So I'll be doing them all. I'll have the dates posted at least just a couple months in advance for each one. And then, yeah, you'll get a discount if you sign up for all of them, but I'm going to probably try to keep it pretty low cost since I'm really excited about doing it. We're doing it online, so I don't have to rent a space, etc. All right. If you don't already know, I am a sex and relationship therapist and coach, seeing individual and relational clients virtually all over from my home office. So if you're interested in sex and relationships therapy for you or for you and your partners, that is available to you. And I love doing one-on-one work as well. I love working with queer, polyamorous, and witchy clients. So if you'd like to work with someone that doesn't judge you, is witchy just like you, and helps you learn how to deal with anxiety, chronic pain or illness, communication issues, self-advocacy, and sex, you can head to my website and book a free consultation now to start your journey. Maybe you've heard me talk about creating your own tarot cards before, and you're like, that's cool, but I don't have any art skills. Well, no worries. You can learn how to create your own tarot cards with collage, which I feel like is a pretty, what am I going to say? It's pretty easy, low barrier. That's what I wanted to say. To getting into creating your own tarot cards. So you can get the full workshop. So I did like a live workshop and then recorded it. So you can go and purchase that. So you'll get that hour-long recording with where I go through the step-by-step method. I show you a bunch of examples of cards I've created and kind of different methodologies that I used, picking the images first and then creating the card based off of what I liked and what I found, or reverse, trying to create a specific tarot card and looking for different imagery. It'll have some journaling questions to kind of get your brain thinking about what you might want to do, brainstorming. And then I have an extensive PDF as well to walk you through it. And all of that you can grab for just $33. So the link is in the show notes to grab that now. And if you're interested in my 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you, my lovely listeners, at the beginning of this year, you can get that by joining my newsletter list. My weekly newsletter always has the most up-to-date info on upcoming events, presentations, musings, and info and photos of my day-to-day life. So if you want a one-stop shop for everything that I'm up to, different offers and links and where to find it all, the newsletter is a great place to find that, and you'll get this 5-card tarot spread that I made for you all, and it's still 2025, so you can still do it. If you're local and you want to meet me in person, you can check out my Let's Talk Tarot meetup group. Our next event will be celebrating the full moon in December. So that will be our last full moon ceremony circle of 2025. You can join my colleague Izzy and I under the glow of the full moon for an evening of connection, reflection, and ritual. We meet at Thresholds Collective in Tacoma the first Sunday of the month to welcome in the full moon together. So the next date and the last one of 2025 is December 7th. We're working on an event for the first full moon of 2026 and to sort of, it's right at the beginning of January, so probably doing like a new year full moon healing circle, slightly longer event, but I don't have all the details solidified yet. So if you want to hear about that, if you're local and you're interested, join the newsletter list, or you can join the meetup group, or you can always email me and I'll do my best to send you that info once it's all confirmed. You can find the links for any of these offers in the show notes or on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, in addition to the images of the cards I pull on each episode. All right, welcome to season 18. Can you believe it? Where I'm talking about color magic. So if you haven't listened to my other seasons yet, you can check those out. I don't think I've really talked about color, perhaps in the Tarot and Crystals season, which was season 15. Other than that, I don't think we've talked color specifically. Maybe in part of when I went through some of the major arcana cards in seasons 2 and 3 at the beginning. But yeah, so this will be kind of new. I'm going to talk today about giving you an introduction to color magic, and then each episode this season will be about a specific color, and we'll dive into what tarot cards often exhibit those colors, what gods, deities are associated, the energy of the cards, and all different kinds of things with color magic. So I'm really excited about this. And this is a thing that I practice. So I'll also be sharing like my own, practices related to color magic. All right, so like I said, today I'm giving you an introduction to color magic. I'm gonna have a bunch of references in the show notes. So if you're looking for anything I referenced today, check them out there. So the first person I feel like I heard talk about color magic specifically was Gabriella Herstick, or Gabby Herstick. You can find her at gabriellaherstick.com. She's a prolific author of articles and books. I think has written 5 or 6 books now, working on their next book, I know. I'll link to their website. I used to be part of their Patreon a while back, and I have a couple of their books. I have Sacred Sex and I have Bewitching the Elements. So Sacred Sex talks about kind of like sex magic, and then Bewitching the Elements talks about the different elements. And yeah, I feel like, and they have a podcast too, so you can consume a lot of their information. They also have their own like coven now called Slut Coven on that they run through Patreon. So you can find all of that at their website, but I feel like they were the first person that talked about sort of like, I guess, a way I practice color magic, which is sort of like glamour and color magic. So I'll go into like an introduction to color magic, where you might have seen it before, and then I'll share kind of the way I practice it, and then we'll get into sort of like symbolism and color related to tarot in particular. So I found there's a witch. Her name is Sarah. Oh, let me find it now. I Am Sarah Potter. So Sarah Potter is her name. She's I Am Sarah Potter, all lowercase, on Instagram. She has a highlight talking about color magic, and I saw she's been on some podcast episodes talking about it. So I really like their definition of it. So they talk about what is color magic. They have a highlight on it, and that's what I'm going to be reading from. So they say color magic is the practice of using the full color spectrum intentionally to invoke a magical response. Every color has meaning and energy that is constantly engaging with our subconscious. The colors we surround ourselves with strongly affect our mood and state of mind every day. When we consciously choose the colors we adorn ourselves and environments with, the colors we eat and engage with, we can intentionally change our perspectives and mindset. Color magic provides the spark of change you have been looking for to create your own reality and accomplish your goals. You deserve everything you desire. Enhance all of your hard work you've put in and start manifesting now through the power of the rainbow. And they say, and P.S., color is just a lot of fun. They have workshops on color magic in particular. I'll have the link to their Instagram where you can find some of that. They're into tarot as well. That's sort of how I found them. So yeah, I really like that sort of definition of it, right? Color magic is general. It's about the idea that different colors have like energy to them, and you can utilize them sort of as you're perhaps doing magic, and just as a different way to engage with magic altogether. So I liked that. That was helpful. So the next thing I guess I want to share is that, yeah, probably if you've ever read any sort of like witchy, practical, magic 101, any kind of those like introductory books, they will often talk about candle magic and candle colors and why you should use different colors for different kinds of spells. So that is like an example of color magic. Obviously, it's relating it specifically to candles and when you're doing spells. But again, I feel like most of us can understand the idea that colors evoke different feelings. And so this is really just like an extension of that, sort of used magically. And like I said, so Gabriella Herstick was the first person I guess sort of really like heard talk about that one of their daily practices is using kind of color magic corresponding to the days of the week. So I actually have a printout. So they just sort of talked about it generally, and then I went online and found one. I couldn't find the one that I specifically have, but I found one that's pretty similar. Found it on Pinterest. That's a day of the week correspondences, and that is what I honestly used to have like taped on my closet, because this is a way I practice color magic, which is I choose the clothing I wear every day based off of the deity or naming convention related to the days of the week that we utilize currently in the sort of Gregorian calendar. So for the 7 days of the week. So utilizing this, and again, I'll get into more of the specific colors on the rest of the episodes this season. But for example, as I'm recording this, it's Tuesday. I guess I'll go through all the, so it's Tuesday. So that's associated with the planet Mars, conflict, red on Tuesday. So I'm wearing pink and red today. Pink, actually, interestingly, is kind of not necessarily represented in this particular days of the week correspondence, but for me, I lump pinks with red for this. So anyway, the one that I have that's this printout, it says Sunday is associated with the sun, solar deities, and the color yellow. Monday is associated with the moon and lunar deities, so it's associated more with white, the color white. Tuesday, like I said, the planet Mars is associated with like red. Wednesday, purple, associated with the planet Mercury and the god Woden, and that's purple. Thursday is blue for the planet Jupiter and the god Thor. Friday is green for the planet Venus and goddess Frigg. Obviously, goddess Frigg has more of the green, and Venus, the planet, has more green, but I think Venus as a god often is associated with pink. So that one's kind of interesting. You can choose what you want on Friday. I usually wear green. And then Saturday is for black for the planet and god of Saturn. So that is sort of one way that I incorporate color magic into my life. So if you like, I have therapy clients where I see them on the same day of the week every week, and they will see me wear similar clothing and colors every time I see them because I only see them on certain days of the week. So I actually organize my closet by like Sunday through Saturday color wise. Again, I sort of lump gray with black. I have some brown shirts that it depends where I put those. Sometimes, I kind of put them more with reds. Anyway, so you can make your own choices with that. If you have silver or gold, obviously that's not necessarily represented. But again, I'll talk more specifically about different colors as we go through the episodes. But that is like one way I use it. I don't do like a ton of candle magic. I do a little bit, but I don't do very many like spells. I will do it on like the sabbats, so like the specific pagan holidays of the year. I will often do like a ritual or something then, and then I often will use a candle of some kind, but I don't have a wide variety of colors of candles. I used to try to like buy them for anyway, when I didn't kind of know my own witchy practice, I was doing a lot of like, oh, this is what it says, and that kind of thing. And so perhaps you also have experienced that. Okay, let's get more generally into what else do I want to share about color magic? So again, if you've tried to do certain spells, different things, I mean, if you've ever painted your house or like your walls, right? Like a lot of, again, kind of like the color of the walls you pick or the house or different things, right? If you know any, like have experienced real estate or selling your house, right? There's all different these kind of ideas about color and what they evoke in people and like what you do or don't want, and different things. So I feel like we've all heard about sort of like associations of color and certain things. So color magic would be like using those associations intentionally to create different things. So on rachelpatterson.co.uk, who's a witch, author, blogger, and podcast host, they have an article talking about color magic where they speak about sort of the history of it. Again, like color has been used in magic and healing for thousands of years. We actually know that the Egyptians knew the importance of color as there were lists of color cures that were written on papyrus dating back to 1550 BC. and the Chinese also practice color healing. They record color diagnoses in the Nei or Qing, which is 2,000 years old. And again, in witchcraft, like often people will use color in spells to invoke or control a specific energetic state, to focus the particular intent. And so, yeah, sometimes so this list of color correspondences might be familiar to you. You might not necessarily have been applying them to days of the week as I have, but again, if you do any sort of candle magic, I'm sure you've come across this. And again, to me, it's sort of like you can have like the days of the week correspondences ones, the different gods that the days of the week are named after, and like you can interpret that to your own way, right? Like if you feel like you understand a certain god, like I said about Venus, well, right, Venus is associated with Friday, but also Venus is like associated with pink. So you're gonna have to make your own decisions about where you wear pink or green on Fridays. And pink goes well with green, if we're gonna be quoting Wicked. What else? And again, yeah, if you've ever experienced like walking into a room and having like a certain like feeling, right, like color, definitely does that. And especially when it's like a visual representation. I mean, again, if you wear, right, if you're like very into like wearing different clothing to feel a certain way, or like nail polish colors, or like earrings, right? Like we often will paint our nails depending on the season of the year or holidays or like the vibe. Again, like fall is associated with very like red, oranges, yellows, browns, right? A lot of that is reflected, at least where I live, again, in like the leaves falling and a lot of the colors that you see, pumpkins, other things that are associated with the time of year. And again, we kind of have these like different associations with different times of year of different colors, that can be dependent on where you live. But yeah, so I'll have some like references to different colors in here. Like I said, I'm not going to get into specifics too much today since I'm going to be going through each color. But I will be referencing the tarotprofessor.com has an article about color symbolism and the meaning of colors in tarot. So we will definitely be looking at colors in tarot in each episode this season, talking about probably the symbolism in the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck in particular, that actually has a lot of yellows and reds, which is honestly part of why I think it's kind of like intense. Reds, right, with yellows, we have the sort of sunny, like energy, excitedness, and then reds are often like a bit more of like conflict or anger, or I have joked before that like I feel like I always end up with, as a therapist, I'm a marriage and family therapist, so I work with couples, and also like polycules, and I feel like I always end up with having couples therapy on Tuesdays. And it's like, to me as a witch, it's very funny because I'm like, oh, of course, like Tuesday, the day of like conflict and war, is the day that like I end up with like people coming into therapy to like resolve conflict in their relationships. Sometimes I think that maybe, right, like that doesn't help the situation, but yeah, so let's talk specifically about the Rider-Waite decks. I'll link to the day of the week correspondences, one that's similar to what I have. It's not the exact one. I'll link to Gabby Hurst's deck website. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to share in particular. I did find there's actually a moon phases, like lunar color magic, that I thought was interesting. So, right, like if you've, again, like follow the full moon and new moon cycles or eclipses or anything, like you will hear people talk about a blood red moon or the blue moon or an orange moon or like all these different types of moons, a dark moon, and they do mean different things, but it's also interesting that we kind of have these like color associations with the moon and how the moon actually looks. Some of these I haven't heard of, like a peach moon. I've heard of like the blood red moon. It often occurs when the earth passes between the moon and the sun, and right, cuts off sunlight and create like a lunar eclipse. So part of the eclipsing process can make it look more red. A yellow moon might be sort of the sun's light, right, reflected on a clear evening in the summertime where we get a more yellowy. Sometimes there's like a burnt orange moon. I don't know if, I guess I've seen that if there's smoke in the air. Again, if you live in a place where there are wildfires, you may have seen that like the lunar image will be very beautiful often when there is smoke, because you actually see it's catching the like the debris in the air is causing the different colors, and that's part of why it looks so pretty. There's like a white moon that's often seen in winter, where there's sort of more ice or snow particles that reflect back whiteness. Also like have to be on a clear night. A blue moon is not necessarily a specific look of the moon, but is the second full moon in 1 month, right? So if the moon cycle is about 28 days, most of the time, like, you are only going to have one moon cycle per month, since there's only at most 31 days in a month. But obviously with the rotation of it, and that not only February is our 28-day month, all the rest, right, it's going to be offset. So we do end up with 2 full moon cycles in a calendar month, and that's what's called, like, the phrase like once in a blue moon, is that like it's rare. I don't think I've ever seen a purple moon. It says it's when it takes on a softer hue at sunset and light refracts less toward the red end of the spectrum. So yeah, if you've ever been outside at night and you see certain colors, like as our depth perception and the color, like as it gets darker, we have less light in our eyes, our depth perception goes away. Part of that is because we lose the red end of the spectrum. And so if you take pictures or anything, like, it will look more blue than yellow or red. And so that's part of why. So it says often the first frost is based on the lavender or purple moon, which is interesting. I don't know why that would happen. And then a black moon is when the moon is not visible in the sky, either due to being a dark moon, which is like the phase right before you get a new moon, before the first sliver of a crescent can be seen. Obviously it would be dark, but of course the moon is there, or right, sometimes in overcast weather, which where I live, I feel like I can see the full moons usually, often because it's often clear on those days. I guess, I don't know, I feel like it must impact the weather, but a lot of the time I can't see the moon because it's overcast here a lot during the winter. So I thought that was interesting to go through the different like moon colors that we literally see, and then kind of like what sometimes they mean, and there's different things associated with that. What else do I want to share? I need to wrap up shortly, but yeah, the other thing I wanted to share is that I did find, just by looking up a lot of stuff about color magic, there is a witch, Edgar Fabian Frias, that has this project called Your Art is a Spell, and they talk a lot about the art that they create and using color. It's very like modern art, and if you go to a modern art museum, you often see a lot of use of color, I would say, to evoke different things, and they've just talked a lot about color and the art that they create, and they're a witch, and so I thought that was very cool. So I'll link to their site and you can check out some of their art. They also have a podcast called Your Art is a Spell. So that's very cool. So all of these things, if you want to learn more about color magic, you can check out there. Yeah, so I'm gonna grab a deck real quick to pull a tarot card to see how can we incorporate color magic into our daily life, or as we embody it. And I'm gonna pull from my very brightly colored deck, the Desert Illuminations Tarot deck, same one I used last episode for the end of the Autumn Tarot Spreads season. But yeah, how can we incorporate color magic into our daily life or into our life in any way? Okay, let's see here. I pulled, oh, interesting, the 10 of Wands, or Chilies, it is known in this deck. It says, it's a long trek through the desert back to the adobe village in the distance. This person is struggling to carry all the chili bundles back from the harvest by sunset. It is hot and dry, and the load is heavy, but they will be able to enjoy the rewards from all their hard work as soon as they reach home. This card represents taking on a ton of extra work and responsibilities, but knowing that it is only for a short period of time. You know that through the blood, sweat, and tears, the energy and effort will be worth it. Even though the mental and physical hard work can feel incredibly rewarding after it is over, be careful not to burn yourself out. You may not realize that the load could become much heavier than anticipated. So, right, and thinking about incorporating color magic into our life, right? Maybe this is a warning to, right, we're going to do it slow. Maybe you're excited about it, or you're like, oh, I've never thought about dressing with the colors of the week, which is how I felt when I first heard about that. I was like, ooh, a daily way to like kind of embody this color magic. Very fun. And now it feels very second nature to me every day. I'm just like, oh yeah, of course I'm gonna wear black. It's Saturday. But also, right, we have to be careful not to burn yourself out. Again, right, there's a lot of possibilities with color magic, as I'm sure you've seen. Everyone has different opinions, I would say, about what different colors, what gods they're associated with, what feelings. And I would say, right, like, I think we all also have individual feelings towards certain colors. I think I shared on an earlier podcast episode, but I do not have the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck because the colors are like off-putting to me. They're like very bright. It's so red and yellow and like not my vibe. It's very intense, I would say. And I'll be talking about that deck as we get more into talking about the different episodes, but I love color. I do. So it's not that necessarily, but just kind of a different color vibe for myself. So if that's helpful to you at all, right, you can go that. So saying, right, we're going to take it slow, right, that maybe there's a lot that we want to take on, but you can do that, but just do it for a short amount of time. Right, again, maybe try 1 week of incorporating color magic, and that could be lighting different colors every day, or wearing it, or wearing a necklace or earrings, incorporating the colors, and see how it feels for you. All right, so we'll end there for today and get excited for the rest of talking about different colors this season. If you'd like to join me on the journey of using the tarot for transformation, click on the link in the show notes to indicate your interest to get more info. Links for the tarot decks I talk about will always be in the show notes and on my website if you'd like to look at them or purchase them. And thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. You can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more. And today I pulled from the Desert Illuminations Tarot by Lindsay D. Williams. I can't remember if I said that, but I will see you next episode. All right, bye-bye.